Everybody says you gotta find yourself, but let's be real. What the fuck does that even mean? At 30 years old, I sold everything that I owned, downsized to a backpack, and moved across the world to find out. What I learned is that finding yourself isn't what people think it is. So let's break down on what it actually means and how you can start today without even moving across the planet, unless you want to. What's up, guys? My name is Sean. I'm a coach who helps overthinkers stop holding themselves back to live the lives that they actually want. Let's start with the bullshit side of finding yourself. Also, I am ADHD and I have magnets that I will play with the whole time. People talk about finding themselves like it's a fucking yoga retreat in Bali or meditating on a mountaintop or going here, going there. It has to be some grand spiritual journey. Truth is, that makes it feel kind of unreachable. A lot of people can't afford to take the time to go do that. And if finding yourself can only happen over there, you're really diminishing the power of actually finding yourself. Truth is, that makes it feel unreachable. It makes it feel like it's over there, like it's gotta be somewhere else, and it just makes it feel entirely inaccessible. Finding yourself should be about finding yourself. And is yourself on the other side of the fucking planet? Or is it inside of you the entire time? Really, finding yourself isn't about escaping. It's about finding the parts of yourself that you've been. Finding yourself isn't actually about escaping or going somewhere else. It's about facing the parts of yourself that you weren't ready to, really connecting with the depth of yourself. Maybe you're gonna have to create the right environment to do that. So for some of you, you will travel across the world. Most of you can do it right in your home. When I sold everything to leave the US, I didn't suddenly wake up enlightened. In fact, I spent months of traveling absolutely miserable. The first few months of backpacking across Thailand while I was living so many people's dreams was absolute hell. I will never travel the same way that I did when I first got to Thailand again. 2 months of moving every few days, traveling around, packing in, packing out, changing hostels, changing hotels, changing cities every few days. I will never do that again. I was living everyone else's dream, and it was my own nightmare. I was struggling with executive function and creating environments that weren't right for me. Was I seeing things? A little bit. Was I having fun? A little bit. What I gained from that experience was knowledge and wisdom about the way that I like to travel, and I'm here to tell you that it's not like that. It's something that I now know that I am capable of doing, but it's not something that I really genuinely enjoy. What happened was I was really stripped away from my routine and my comfort zone, and I got to learn about who I am in different environments. Many different environments. What happened was I had no routine, no comfort zone, and I was forced to learn about myself in many different environments. I learned that slow travel is much better for me. If I spend a week in a place, that's way better. 2 weeks is way, way better. I actually have time to learn about the place and adapt. And honestly, now my ideal is going places for 2 weeks or a month, if not longer. Changing accommodations and restaurants and locations all the time does not give me the ability to thrive, but now I know that about myself. I learned these things about myself along the way. So you don't just stumble into yourself on the other side of the world. You pick up pieces along the way. You don't just stumble into yourself on the other side of the world. You pick up pieces along the way. And one of the most pivotal moments for me was a few months into my travel, I decided to go to a yoga and meditation retreat. I know, how cliche, in Cambodia. But the reason that it worked so well was I had been given time and space to integrate everything that I had learned while traveling. I was actually, for the first time, I had a stable environment with a stable routine where I was doing the same thing. I didn't have to worry about where I was going to eat. I didn't have to worry about where I was going to sleep. I didn't have to worry about where I was going to move next. And this particular yoga and meditation retreat was set up to be a catalyst for self-discovery. Now you're probably sitting there thinking, Sean, I'm not going to fly all the way to Cambodia to go to this yoga and meditation retreat. Shout out Harry Haralaya if you guys do want to check him out. I don't get any kickback, but they're phenomenal. So if you're sitting there going, I'm not going to fly across the world to do all these things, but I really want to start, where do I start? Start with changing your environment, stepping out of your comfort zone. Now, how do you change your environment if you're not going to move across the world? It starts by stepping out of your comfort zone. Maybe you want to take a new class to learn a new skill. Maybe it is yoga. Maybe it's dancing. Maybe it's an exercise routine. Change your daily routine as much as possible, okay? New ideas are old ideas plus new information. So how much new information can you give yourself access to? Can you move things around in your house so your environment feels new and fresh? You're listening to this episode, so obviously you're seeking out new information, be it through podcasts, through books, other things like that, right? If you always go to the same places and see the same people, you don't have to entirely break up with them, but introduce new people into your life. New ways of thinking will help you gain perspective. Add in potential new classes, go to new places, try new restaurants, work out in a new place, just go to different areas. Give yourself the opportunity to see who you are in a new environment and learn to step outside of your comfort zone as much as possible to see how you behave in new situations. Now, pay attention to who you are in each of these situations. How do you always show up? For me, I always show up in quiet spaces. I don't like going to noisy bars. I don't like going out to busy places. I like to show up in areas where I have time to reflect and really connect with the people around me. And that's a piece of my identity. The point of stepping into these new environments is to check in and go, who am I in this space? Who am I in the next space? And how do these all connect? Who are you at work? Who are you at home? But most importantly, who are you to yourself? And how can you foster that relationship with yourself? Focus on curiosity and treat yourself with that childlike curiosity. I wonder why I do this. I wonder why I like that. I wonder how I will be over here. I wonder how I will be over there. The more that you foster this relationship with curiosity, if you're looking to find yourself, it's by finding yourself, by connecting with who you are. And if you're just not quite sure who that is, you get the opportunity to ask yourself, who do I want to be today? Who do I want to be tomorrow? Who have I always been? And learn to step into that a little more every day. And you can keep building this relationship by journaling or by reflecting in ways that make sense for you. Maybe you like to sit down and write. Maybe you want to leave yourself a voice note. But just, what did I learn about myself today? Who am I? What's important to me? You can treat this with playfulness. It doesn't have to be such a serious task, right? But finding yourself comes from finding yourself, which sounds so plain and so simple, but it comes down to learning what's important to you as a person. An exercise that could really help is tell me who you are without using your name, your job title, or your relationship to anyone else. I'm going to slow that down for you one more time. Tell me who you are without using your name, your job title, or your relationship to anyone else. What comes to mind here are going to be some of the things that you find the most important. How can you build off of that? How can you create a life based around that? These answers will shift and change and grow over time because you are a human, not a tree. You'll develop and change and evolve, but that's the point. Who you are today probably isn't who you were 5 years ago. In some ways, you've changed a lot. In other ways, you're exactly the same at your core. You get the opportunity to continue to connect with that, to continue to shift, and to continue to change. So yeah, finding yourself isn't some final destination. It's learning to foster the relationship and the connection with yourself. 5 years ago, I had no idea where this journey would take me. But choosing to start changed my entire life. Whatever you feel called to, you feel called to it for a reason. Maybe that's staying at home. Maybe that's moving across the world. The answers are wherever you have decided they are. And you will gain them from seeking that out. The journey is yours and yours alone. What matters most is that you decide to walk it. If you're ready to find yourself, that's literally what I help people with. Check the link in the bio to book a session in the calendar, and what we'll talk about is you, where you want to go, and how you want to get there. This 90-minute session is completely free and comes with absolutely no obligation to continue working with me. It's time and space for you to find out who you want to be, how you want to get there. Let's figure out your next steps together.